Okay, let's see where this video goes today. One of my videos is doing pretty well. I'm pretty stoked, and I have always I used to spend a lot of money on like props and all this stuff, and I used to think like you needed a really fancy studio, but here I am in my second home, and it's been good enough. People have been clicking on my videos, and it's done better than almost any other like backdrop I've ever like put together. So, Funyuns, Hot Cheetos, thank you very much. I'm a landlord with 16 homes. I just got a $4,500 booking in my home in West Virginia. And I think $170,000 is pretty little every single year, especially for Californians. Um, and I don't really know where we're going to go with today, but I think we're going to discuss that topic again because people seem to like it. Um, but also, I pretty much live here. If you guys didn't know, like a lot of people have asked me, like, why do you shoot your videos here? Especially if you have like 16 homes. And I gotta say, like, it's actually quite comfortable, first of all. So don't hate. Like, if I want to sleep, I just set my chair back. Bedtime. If I want to get a beer, I just drop by like Pizzeria Luigi's down in Imperial Beach, San Diego, and it's really good. And I have a beer, and I take a nap in my car. I don't know if that's you're supposed to do that, but um, I've been napping in my car for ages. As long as it's like a safe place, you know. Sometimes I'll go to like Walmart, or if I'll just pick a spot by the side of the road. Now that I think about it, it's kind of illegal, right? Yeah, I think you're not supposed to nap on in a parking lot. But I've seen so many people do it in California, so I figured it's normal. Um, yeah, and no one does anything about it. So like, if you ever walk downtown in like San Diego, there's a lot of homeless people, unfortunately. I wish someone could figure out this problem and do something about it. Hopefully, I think it's a problem that reaches all the way up to government. You know, like I understand why, because who, not everyone can make like $170,000 and afford like a $400,000 condo, like 700 square foot home in California, because that's what it is. If you want like a family or something like more respectable, is like what people tell me is like a 4 bedroom, 2 bath in San Diego. That's like $1.2 million. Even I'm not qualified for that. I'm a doctor of pharmacy, you know. Graduated when I was 25. I got a pre-qualification letter from a lender, and it's like, oh, you're qualified for like $400,000. So I was just a little bit surprised. Like, I was 18. I thought that I would be able to afford a home after going through a doctorate. You know, it costs $200,000 to do, almost $200,000. Took 8 years of schooling, and then when I got out, I did make good money. Like again, it was like 135, and in my peak years, it was 170. Technically, it was like a 150 salary, and I got like a $20,000 bonus as a pharmacy manager. But yeah, they took 10 grand immediately from my bonus first of all, and then my taxes are absolutely insane. I'm pretty sure I keep less than $100,000 after like Social Security, Medicare, and insurance. Um, yeah, it's pretty expensive to live here in California. Everyone is always, oh, 170 so much, but it really doesn't go that far. Like I was talking about that pizza place earlier because I was super excited about it because I could get 2 slices of pizza, a garlic knot, and a beer for like $15.76 with tip. That's pretty much like unheard of now. And it was really good. If you guys haven't been to Pizzeria Luigi's, you know, shameless plug for them. I don't not affiliated in any way, but if you're in Imperial Beach, the place is good and it's really affordable, especially if you go during like happy hour, which is like 12 to 5. And those are like the places I try to eat at now because they're so expensive here. If you go to any other restaurant, you can definitely see the price of inflation in San Diego. Imagine going to like Little Italy or like any Italian restaurant, and like it's every single dish is about $23. Beer $8. I love beer. I didn't drink this in here, promise. I recycle my bottles, and then I make my own beer, and I bottle up. So that's why I save the bottles. Sometimes I get really hungry and I eat Funyuns or Hot Cheetos. So, but But even these are expensive, like 24 packs now for beer, and depending on what brand, obviously, it's like $25. It used to be like 15. These, I got a pack of 25 for like $15, and never that expensive. So things have pretty much like doubled or gone up by like 50%. So I feel you guys. Yeah, I mean, I'm complaining about like how 170 is too little. I have friends, a lot of friends. You know, we're just a group of rock climbers. We're not the most like bougie people. You know, like this is, if you guys see my videos, I'm pretty much dressed the same way almost every day, every single day. They make like $35 to like $40,000, and we make it work. I again am lucky enough to have like been interested in finance. I've been around like, unfortunately, like it sounds weird to say, but I've been around like pretty wealthy people, and I took their lessons and I applied it to my life, and I have been able to do quite well financially. But I still prefer like living like this. I remember like growing up as a kid, my parents were never that rich. My family was never rich. They came from another country when they're in their teens, and I don't know how many people are familiar, but there was a genocide in our country that my parents immigrated from, Cambodia, and that's why they're here. They were stripped of everything. They lost family members during that war, and things weren't good. So if you ever ask my parents, they're the most proud Americans you ever meet, and they just love like what this country can do for them, and they're just really proud Americans. You know, like if you ever like ask like an immigrant, I don't know if this is just me stereotyping, but if you ever ask like an immigrant Asian who is from the other country, they'll tell you this is likely the best country out there, because the alternative is not good. I mean, I still remember my parents telling me stories about like them not knowing like my grandpa. And then when we went to go visit Cambodia the other day, we went to a museum, and then I just felt bad like being there because my dad has really bad memories of that place. Yeah, but anyways, not to go sad boy. So we're going back to America and how 170K in California is not enough. But yeah, it even for me, like $400,000 on a condo as a doctorate at 25, like you just, I don't know, it's just not what I expected, especially like back in the days when I was still starting off in college. Everyone was like, before I started college, like in high school, everyone's like, oh yeah, I'm going to UCI, I'm going to UCLA, I'm going to all these colleges. I was accepted into all these colleges, and thankfully, even though I had a good GPA, I guess the school I went to up in the high desert wasn't very well known. So like, even though I had like a 4.0 GPA in high school, I was only accepted to like one school I applied to in California, which was called UCR. And back in the days, we had this joke, they used to call it UC rejects. But now we're bougie. We have a medical school, so we're a fancy school now. It's hard to get in. But yeah, I just didn't expect like going into college and then like having this plan to become a doctor that I was actually gonna feel really poor. So poor that like I have a scarcity mindset still, probably. Like I was like, I don't want to spend more than like $20 on a meal if possible. So now I have to literally train my brain like, hey, it's okay to spend a little bit more for the convenience. You don't literally have to go out and make your own beer or like, you know, save on every single like thing and just make life so difficult. Because I mean, that's technically why like my parents wanted us to work so hard too, is so we can have an easier life than they did. So like it would be a shame if like I lived with the same exact values as they had, because they never wanted that for me. Obviously, they wanted me to live something a little bit nicer, but I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I still remember like being young, like 7 to like 12 years old, and then my parents actually did this really cool trip with us. Like they both got laid off from their jobs, and when we were really young, and I think they took it as a blessing, kind of, because they were kind of tired of their job, like working in Orange County at this company called Boeing, which like makes airplane parts. But they did a lot of cool stuff. They took us out fishing, so we learned how to catch our own food, and we literally lived off of like lake fish for 2 years, which is why maybe like we all have minor mercury poisoning. And even now we still like to eat fish food. But yeah, it's not, mercury poisoning is no joke, by the way, guys. So, you know, you don't have to be a pharmacist to know that. Yeah, I learned how to do a lot of cool things. They took us around in a car. We drove through like Texas down to Florida from California, Florida up to New York, and then New York back through like Chicago and stuff, and then back to the US. And then we went up to like Seattle and Vancouver, and it was just a blast. I felt like it was like one of the biggest learning experiences ever. And that's probably like why I enjoy being in my car so much. Like everyone always like, oh, it's so sad you live in your car, kind of like most of the time, because I'm here. I'd say like 2/3 of my life. I go back home pretty much just to sleep, and it's a blessing to be able to have both. But sometimes I just sleep in here too, because when we were on those road trips throughout America, we would sleep in our car. We would go to like this gas station called Love's, that like lets truckers like sleep there, and we would sleep there too. And then Walmart, we would sleep at Walmart parking lots quite often. I remember that. And there's also sometimes we just pull like over by the road, and we'd have like sleeping bags. And for me, I didn't even know that was like considered a bad thing. I just thought it was fun. I was like, oh, we're all car camping. And now I think car camping is more hip because they got like rooftop tents and stuff. But for me, I just thought it was like a good time. I still remember like one time, like it was like my whole family back in the trunk. They put it down. They made like a bed. We huddled back in there for warmth. And I was like, I think I was like over here, and I forgot who was sleeping over here, but I still remember just being in the sleeping bag. I was like, oh, it's kind of cold today. My sleeping bag's not working very well, but we were fine. And I honestly, like, for me, that felt like vacation. And even this right now, like, people think it's not the greatest, but you can shower on the road. There's showers at these stops. You can also shower at gyms, so like the rock climbing gym. A lot of my friends do that. They'll live in their van, and I don't know if that's something that we're supposed to talk about, but yeah, a lot of my friends, they get these 24-hour gym passes. You use the restroom there. They live in their van, and then they get exercise, and then they go to their job wherever they work during the daytime. Some of them even work at the climbing gym, which is even cooler, I think. And it's not a bad life to live if that's what you're used to. So for me, even though like I always say like 170, I always have that number on my titles now for some reason. 170 is still not enough, like because for me it technically is enough just because my expenses are quite low. I can, if I really want to, and like I didn't have anyone else in my life, I could probably survive quite well for like $12,000 or less. Even with today's kind of like inflation rates, there's always a way out. Like I still remember eating like free PB&Js at work as a pharmacy manager, and everyone's like, oh, interesting. But that's like a perk that your job provides. Your job provides like insurance and stuff. Like, why not eat the free food in the lounges? And for me, it was just as delicious. I was full. But nowadays I try to be obviously more healthy because all you really have is your life. And my blood pressure, it's a little bit higher now. So I'm 33, no longer the young strapping 25-year-old I used to be. Even though everyone says I still look like a child. Which is why I was like, oh yeah, I'm just going to put it on my video titles, I'm a kid. But yeah, I'm assuming like a lot of you guys do resonate with me because I don't think this is like an uncommon thing in California, to be honest. Again, a lot of my friends who make less than I do, we still have a blast, doing all the things that we love. And if I ever get to convince them to like, hey, make it even easier on themselves and maybe get like a rural Airbnb that will make $40,000 to $50,000 for them every single year by investing like $50,000, I'm happy to add that. But everyone is going to live whatever life they want to live. So for some people, it's not worth it to own a home and learn the business of actually setting up a short-term rental. And I'm not going to talk about that in this video either too. I have another video on that if you guys want to watch it, but it's long and boring for a lot of people. No one likes to learn how. They just like to learn why and to hear the story. And that's me too. Like, I'm always like more inspired by the stories versus like, how do I run a short-term rental? How do I buy a home? How do I work with an agent? How do I find a lender? How do I find a designer? How do I find a handyman? How do I find a cleaner? How do I automate all this? It's just not fun. So yeah, that'll be for another video. If you really want to learn that, I'll put it on the link below. But I don't expect too many people to be interested. I think it's much more fun to listen to the story that people went through and just to hear about why I think the way I think. So again, I still don't think I'll even answer the question about 170. It's not a lot. So yeah, beer's expensive, chips are expensive, decor's expensive, cars are more expensive. These shades, gas is really expensive. I think that's probably like the thing I notice most because I pretty much live in here, even though I have a few homes. If I need to, I'll just shower elsewhere. I have my bike back here if I ever wanted to. I just need to pump some air in there. I got my sweater. I can nap perfectly with this. I just crack the door open and like kind of stick my foot and jam the door so I have a nice breeze. Music's good. I go to coffee shops. Trident, shout out to you guys. You guys see me every day. I get to buy a cup of coffee and I get to rent out your place and use your electricity. And I meet really great people there. But a lot of people tell me they don't want to live like this. They want a home. They want a 4-bedroom, 2-bath in California. And then based off what I told you guys earlier, like being a pharmacy manager, making $170,000 and still not being qualified for like a $400,000, $500,000 home, I think that's absolutely insane. So I don't think that the idea of selling 18-year-olds that $170,000 after 8 years and $200,000 worth of debt is actually a good idea. I actually think it's a trap. As much as I think we need healthcare professionals, and I wish there was some way to pay all of us more, it's just not currently like that. And if it were my younger cousin or my sister or brother that were recommending this advice to, I'd definitely tell them not to do what I did. Unless they really want to just serve people. They want to learn about medicine and they want to treat people in healthcare. But you definitely don't want to do it for the money. The schools are right when they tell you do not do this for money or the prestige, because prestige doesn't really matter, to be honest. And if you think it does matter, the other day I was literally just behind a pharmacy and like one of the customers like tried to spit in my face for like not being able to dispense things to them legally. That's the stuff you kind of deal with. That's why I always say you're more of a public servant as a healthcare worker, and people need you. So thank you again for what you do. If you're a healthcare worker, and I know friends who have doctorates and they make way less than I do. They make they graduate 8 years of school, same thing that I did, and they make only like $95,000 or less, $65,000, and it's awesome. And I really appreciate that they do it because we need people to do it first of all. But they again are public servants, so yeah, and I just think it's hard. I wish there was some way for us to reward people just for like the goodness of their heart, because otherwise they get taken advantage of. Like there needs to be someone in your life who advocates for your pay, because otherwise you take it home and you suffer. So imagine you're a great person, you don't know how to ask for raises, you don't know how to ask for money, you don't know how to charge for things, and then I'm still guilty of that because again I probably have a scarcity mindset. I wasn't raised to learn how to ask for things that I want. And that's why I love the game Cash Flow by Robert Kiyosaki. If you ever played, you have to ask for your paydays to actually get paid. And that's why I love having friends who have my back who are in finance because they advocate for me. They're like, Jeff, you're so nice, but you just give everything away. And it's just because it's not something I'm not used to asking for that. Like if I really wanted food, I know I can just go fishing for food. I can go to a lake, I buy a $7 pass, catch a boatload of catfish, put it on ice, go and grill it, and that's what I can eat for years. If I need water, I can go and get some river water, boil it up, lake, or I can get something very cheaply at the supermarket. It's just like I've learned how to do things without money, so I've had less of a need to ask for it. But as I am trying to build my own family, and have kids and myself, not everyone has had the same experiences to me, and it feels very scary to them to live the way I live. Like some people need certainty, but for me, my parents made do with uncertainty, and I think I got really good at living that way. So for that reason, it just doesn't feel very hard for me. But if I share this story with other people, which I know there's got to be like there's like 8 million people in the world. There's someone who resonates with me. All you I bet you like a lot of international people or other immigrants, immigrant families, maybe other Asian families. I don't know, Hispanic families, Black families. I'm pretty sure you guys kind of get it. You guys didn't, from what I hear, at least like a lot of my friends who were like that, didn't grow up super blessed. But again, now things are better now. But I always think people need an advocate. Like if I never had my mentors who made it out, like my parents did so many things that they were uncomfortable with, so I never had to do the same thing. So I think I won the parent jackpot. Obviously, I'm biased. I love my parents, but not everyone is also again lucky to have the best parents. So if not them, I'm not gonna at least share my story. So one day they hear it and they watch this video, it's interesting enough, it catches their attention. Maybe they go click that link down below where it's to my video about how to buy an Airbnb with $50,000, how to make your first $50,000. I need to make a video on that, to be honest, because everyone can do it. Again, like I always like refer back to my parents' story. It's like, yeah, it sounds super hard, and it's gonna require some luck and some hard work and some planning, but it's doable. Like again, they still don't even have email, and they still made it happen. Like here we are in like the 21st century, with cars, with internet, with this cell phone, which is like the most powerful thing on the earth. This mic, the ability to ask questions. Like I bet you someone on here, like if they really didn't know how to get rich, they could literally just go on YouTube and just ask questions. And there's gonna be people that comment, because there's always people that comment, and there's always people willing to help. You just gotta be okay with the discomfort of having people who don't like you also make that same comment. So yeah, it can get discouraging when you see those negative comments, but just know that it's not the end of the world. There's 8 million people around there. You can't please everyone is like a huge like thing I had to learn personally, because I'm a person pleaser. I was in healthcare. I literally trained to be a servant, how to dumb down healthcare language so that we're not speaking in hypertension, metabolic disorders, endocrinology, like tumor, it's like ology. Like why do we need to use these terms? So I was literally trained to speak to people at a human level as a healthcare worker. So we're servants again. So I'm just here trying to do my part. At the end of the day, again, if you're making $170,000 and you're struggling, you have a lot of debt, you're 25 to 45, I hope that you know that there's ways out of this. Things will get better. And worst case scenario, like you are in California now, you can go do one of these projects I love doing personally, like again these rural Airbnbs. Take it back, and you want to live in California, that's totally fine. No hate against that. People love the sunshine here. We just don't love the rules, obviously, and we don't like the taxation. You can always technically make your money there and bring it back here, so you can at least have something to supplement paying your rent, so you're not working 40 hours every single week to pay your rent. And I think that's a better way to live life, to be honest, especially if you ever want to have like a family or kids like I do. Because oh man, I'm really full. Because imagine you work 40 hours and yeah, you're making $170,000. I just did like some research on like how much kids cost. It costs like $20,000 just to raise a kid from like 0 to 18 years old. Like $20,000 every year, by the way, not $20,000 once. So it's expensive, like, and not everyone's gonna like understand this. Like, and I also did some research. Like, we spend 40 hours of our life every week at work, and we spend about 14 to 21 hours with our newborn kids, like when they're just born. So the allocation of time doesn't make sense, when obviously I think most people who have kids probably love their kids more. But yet, because of money and like their scarcity of money, and because they don't know how to make money any better way, they just trade their time for the rest of their lives. So I just want to spread the message that, there's better ways out of it. Californians aren't making enough now, so think about it so you don't forget. And when a day comes for you to have kids, or if you already have kids, see if you can figure out how to spend more time with them than you do at work. Because at the end of the day, we're all going to die pretty soon. I'm 33. My grandma passed away when she was around 60. I could technically be over the hill already. Hopefully not, but we just never know when things are gonna like go south. We sleep 8 hours a day. We really don't have. That's 8 hours a day. That's a third of your life. You technically only have maybe 20 years of waking time technically left. If you pass away when my grandma passed away, so just know you want to spend it on the right things, like whether it's your kids, family, whatever is important to you. And if you're doing miserable work, find a better way. And don't live just to live. Live to enjoy. And just do whatever the heck you want. Nothing really, really, truly, is so serious besides your health and your family. If that's something you value, your friends, if you care to live about those things. But I personally think life is great. Part of the blessing about being alive is you get to solve problems over and over. You get to build businesses. And if you don't like any of the things I do, like building business, solving problems, rock climbing, go do the things you want to do. If you want to sleep in 13 hours and feel refreshed, lay in bed, go freaking enjoy it. Go do that. And do it until you're satisfied. That's it's just more fun when things are abundant and you can just do whatever you want. But it starts with, again, building a high skilled income, learning how to save more than you spend, and then investing the rest. And hopefully after you have a little bit of nest egg and runway, you can figure out how to actually step away and craft the life that you really want to live. Because I think honestly that's what it's all about.